Please, can you kindly introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mike Arnold. People in Nigeria, some of them call me Earthshaker. I served a term as a mayor of the city of Blanco, Texas, my hometown. It's north of San Antonio, west of Austin, a small town in the Texas Hill Country.
So let us look at terrorism in Nigeria. What is your assessment of the Tinubu's administration's handling of terrorism and insecurity happening in Nigeria?
Well, the assessment is the fact that people are still dying. People are being kidnapped, villages and are being burned. The terrorists are being given a vacation and free education and turned back loose to the bush, while the victims are being denied and degraded. It's documented that Nuhu Ribadu has armed the Fulani militia. The Fulani militia is doing the majority of the killing. They're completely complicit, completely in the tank. I have said it. I said it in a congressional briefing the other day that working with the Tinubu administration, the Nigerian government, to end the genocide is like working with the Third Reich to end the Holocaust. The people need to understand what's happening. There's a prophetic Islamic view. Dan Fodio started the Sokoto Caliphate, which controls the north and controls the machinery. Started it as to be the launch pad for the Mahdi, the prophesied end times jihad messiah. And the 8 black flags from around the world have assembled there, and they're purifying the platform. The banditry and all that is a euphemism. That is the jihadi side hustle. And that the jihad must be protected at all costs. It's the founding of Nigeria is built on jihad. It's still their religion, still their philosophy, and they're gaining ground. So yeah, the record on security, the record on stopping terrorism, it's nothing but spin. They're spending more effort and time to hide it from the world than they are to stop it. And even if they tried to, the generals are so corrupt from the blood mineral money that they go in and they disarm the defenders, they arm the attackers, and they don't show up when the attacks are taking place. They only show up after. It's a pattern. It's very consistent. So there's the jihadis and the politicians in Abuja are just two heads of the same two-headed snake.
So you mentioned that Nuhu Ribadu is arming the Fulani militia. Recently, Tinubu appointed an advisor on Homeland Security, General Fadua. Some people have interpreted that to be him losing faith in Ribadu, but not wanting to sack Ribadu because of the political consequence given we are approaching election. What is your assessment of why Tinubu decided to appoint General Fadua? Do you think he still has faith in Ribadu, or he has lost faith?
It could be that he's lost faith. It could be because you're seeing pictures of Ribadu hopping around Washington, D.C., taking pictures with people. It could be to free him up to do more PR and spin work. Tinubu can only hold power so long as he is paying tribute to the caliphate. All of his appointments, I don't believe Tinubu is a diehard ideological jihadi. I believe he's all about himself and his own power. But he's made a deal, obviously. I mean, look, he appointed literally the top scholar for the Boko Haram philosophy, is now writing the curriculum for Nigeria's schools. I don't think Tinubu did that because he has great regard for the guy. I think he did that because he has to keep doing the caliphate's bidding if he's going to stay in office. In that light, is Ribadu actually have the upper hand here? Is he really the link to the caliphate? Is he the favored guy? I don't know. It could be a lack of trust in Ribadu, but the fact is they don't want the jihad to stop. And Ribadu is doing PR now. He signed the $9 million lobby deal. It might just be to free him up so he can do more of that.
Who is the person that you said is the top jihadi that Tinubu appointed that is writing books for school?
Okay, the Shehu, I believe is his name. I didn't say jihadi. I said he's the top scholar for Boko Haram. And I mean that lowercase. Western education is forbidden. The philosophy
Yeah.
of his life's work, his manifesto that he has spent his life supporting, is the Islamization of knowledge. That's what his book is called. And he declares it as an academic jihad with the goal of purging any Western education, any Western thought from pre-K, from preschool up through university. That is his purpose in life. His manifesto and all of his writings is to purge Western thought from education at every level. And he is the person that Tinubu put in charge of writing the curriculum for all of Nigeria's school children. That is the top scholar for the Boko Haram philosophy, is writing the curriculum for Nigeria's school children today.
Do you know the person's name?
Shehu. I can find it specifically. These Nigerian names get complicated for me. I'll get it for you if you just give me a minute.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Whilst you bring that, so looking back at the current insecurity situation in Nigeria, in the next 10 years, do you see Nigeria defeating the non-state actors that are making life hell for Nigerians?
No, you need to understand the caliphate, which is in power today, which has not lost power since 1804 when Dan Fodio started it, was founded to be the launch pad for the Jihad Messiah, the coming Mahdi. And they are still doing that today. They're purging the platform. They have full control over the government system. And the black flags, which have been invited in, which are across northern Nigeria, 8 of them at my count, from Boko Haram, Lakurawa, ISIS, ISWAP, Al-Nusra, 8. They are there to accomplish a goal, to continue the mission of the caliphate, to prepare the platform for the Mahdi. They're purging the infidels and they're purging the apostates, meaning Christians and non-jihad Muslims. And they have rigged the system so all of the resources belong to them. They're running their side hustles, as they've done since time immemorial, of kidnapping, of looting, of robberies, and all that stuff. It's never stopped, and the machine is built for that reason. That's why it was built. The government is, and the economy and all that stuff is secondary to them, to getting the platform ready for the prophesied Mahdi. That is what they're doing, and it will never stop. That's why they starved to death as many as 3 million or more, mostly children, in 30 months between 1967 and 1970. They starved them to death so they could keep the oil and they could keep control. It wasn't about good government. It wasn't about one Nigeria or any patriotism. It was about money and power, and it still is.
What do you say to those Nigerians and non-Nigerians who look at the views you've just expressed and say, look, hang on, Mike, there wasn't any terrorism attack, these killings that we're seeing in Nigeria, we didn't have it 34 years ago. Nigerians, Fulani, different tribes, they live side by side in peace. If what you're saying is true, how come this is something that happened about 30 years ago?
Well, so there's a number of factors there. One thing is that the caliphate has gone through some transitions. For one, there was a moderating period of time. So the current Sultan, Saad Abubakar, his father was the Sultan for, I think, 50 years, the longest serving Sultan. And if you look at his reign, it was that's when the Biafran War and the pogrom that led to it, all that stuff was done under his father. And then after the war, the purging of Christianity from the North, all the schools in the North most of them were founded by Christian mission groups, had Christian names. In the 70s, they went and changed all that. They forcibly took control away from the schools and renamed them in the 70s. All of that was done under this Sultan's father. He was a purist, purifying the land. But then some reformers, moderates, took power over time. It drifted. And when you had the Obasanjo administration, a Christian, and you had a moderate sultan, things were different. But then the war on terror came, 2001 and after. The current sultan grew up in the palace, went assigned as a general to the theater of war, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, and Saudi Arabia from 2003 2006, during the Islamic Great Tribulation, when the war on terror. And if you look at what happened, he came back from there at age 50 and retired, and within a short period of time, 2 mysterious plane crashes. One of them took out 10 generals who were working with Obasanjo to reform the military. They're all gone. And then a couple weeks later, a plane crash out of Abuja. The radar was shut off. The plane carrying the Sultan, moderate Sultan, Sultan's heir apparent, several grandchildren, also a couple of the moderate members of the Sultanate Council, which chooses the next Sultan. They all died in a mysterious plane crash. Within 24 hours, it was declared human error and case closed. And within 4 days, record time, with the moderating forces suddenly dead, the diehards put the current sultan in power. And soon after that, within 4 days, record time, and he was not the likely heir. He was like a couple dozen down on the list. And then very soon after that, all these international terror groups that he had affiliated with, obviously, all of a sudden come and set up shop in Nigeria, and the Nigerian jihad takes on international tactics. He's purified it. And then when you have the accidental Christian president of Jonathan, it's like a cat's claws. When it has control, they're nice and soft, but when there's any threat, the claws come out. They came out to, if Jonathan wins re-election, then the baboons and dogs will be covered in blood. I mean, they unleashed hell to get Jonathan out of office, and it's never been put back in the bottle.
Some have argued that the current terrorism that is ravaging Nigeria, that it came from in the 70s, when the United States signed an agreement with the Saudi to make the US dollar the official currency for petrodollar, that the Saudi decided to export Salafist form of Islam to Nigeria. And they have also said that is this root cause. And some have also accused the US security agency of actually training the current terrorist that is killing Nigeria in their attempt to align with the Sunni form of Islam. What is your view on that?
Well, there's a mishmash in Nigeria for sure. I know the Iranian flavor has as many as 3 million adherents across Nigeria. They're organized in every state. And then you have Gumi's father, who was known as the Ayatollah of Nigeria colloquially, had more connection, my understanding, to the Saudi flavor. There's a mishmash there, but they're all seem to be doing the same things, which is, if you look at the pattern, if you look at the tactics, those remain unchanged regardless. That started with Dan Fodio going in, and it started with Mohammed going in, co-opting existing, where they came in and decapitated the Hausa and took that over, and literally decapitated, beheading rape, destruction, displacement has been their hallmark since 1804. And it has never stopped being their hallmark, regardless of which flavor they subscribe to. I am not a longtime scholar of the various strains of Islam, and I know there are multiple operating in Nigeria. But the Sultan is recognized and is declared as the king of Muslims in Nigeria, and ultimately it all flows to his throne.
So you mentioned Gumi. Some Nigerians and non-Nigerians believe that if the Nigerian government is truly serious to eradicate terrorism from Nigeria, that Gumi should be the first person who they arrest. Do you think, do you subscribe to that?
I'm sure he's on a list.
Do you think he should be arrested? They say he
arrested, or you know, or when they pick up the intensity of the Tomahawk missile strikes, you know, there's been rumors that he's on that list. He clearly, well, you know, we know the history. He was the spiritual advisor to the underwear bomber. He was arrested and imprisoned in Saudi Arabia. I think it was 2010 as a result of that. But it was the Nigerian government that demanded his release. He tried to go back to Saudi Arabia last year on Hajj. They wouldn't let him out of the airport. He got there. They immediately deported him back to Nigeria for being too radical. Saudi Arabia did. Why he's allowed to operate with impunity in Nigeria, it makes no sense to me. He clearly is close to the bandits in the bush. That's his boys. He goes and he talks to them. He negotiates with them. If he had any desire to end the violence, then he would turn over those names and locations to the people that are trying to stop it. He doesn't. He protects them. He's a master at taqiyya. You know, you read his posts and he's so sanctimonious, but no, he's clearly in bed with the jihadis, and I see he's probably, you know, seen as their spiritual father in many ways. So yeah, he's a problem.
Do you think he should be arrested?
Whether he's arrested or missiled, but I think Nigeria would be a safer place in the world, a better place if he wasn't in circulation.
Okay, so beyond what is officially reported, what are the lesser known factors that you believe are sustaining insecurity in Nigeria?
The world doesn't know the prophetic importance of the Sokoto Caliphate to the Muslim world, that it was founded to be a launch pad for the Mahdi, that their prophetic clock is ticking, that I believe this current sultan is carrying the mantle of Dan Fodio. I mean, he was raised in the palace on Dan Fodio's writings, and he's doing the same things. And that he's involved in the purifying of the platform, which means getting rid of the apostates and the infidels. So this is more than just the spin and the lies. First of all, farmer-herder conflict was written by a career Sharia propagandist hired by George Soros in a think tank. That's a fact. It was injected into that conversation intentionally to be misleading. The whole bandits and insecurity thing is again, it's intentional spin to hide the reality that this is an ongoing Islamic conquest. This is the longest running genocide on the world today, running for more than 200 years. If you add it up from the beginning to today, it's claimed more than 6 million lives, and it's ongoing. The Sokoto Caliphate in history, the largest enslaver of Black people on earth, and it's still doing it. We're not fighting, you know, it's not like, you know, there's a problem here and a bandit there and a corrupt person here. This is a prophetic initiative that they're doing on faith to prepare the land for the Mahdi. They believe they own all of Nigeria and that it's all theirs by right. And they're not going to stop based on sanctions or pinpoint strikes. It's just not going to stop it whatsoever. And this is a much bigger problem and a much greater threat to global security than current analysts seem to be saying.
Do you think non-Muslims in Nigeria understand what you're saying? Or they see it the way you've seen it.
Yeah, well, some do. I these days I know it's not scientific, but I have a pretty good finger on the pulse. I've got more than 300,000 social media followers now who are very, very active. And I get a lot of jihadis commenting on my pages. Get a lot of from across the board. And I think people are starting to, a lot of people see it. I know, they're marginalized for a reason. The Igbo people have no wool pulled over their eyes. They know what the cost of resistance to the caliphate means more than anybody. And they've known it and they've seen it. Nnamdi Kanu, who's unjustly imprisoned in Sokoto, spoke about this stuff. It's I haven't gone into the basement of any building, uncovered any dusty volume and read anything that's not publicly available. It's all out there. But there's a reason that Nigeria banned the teaching of history in its schools for 15 years. And so people wouldn't piece this together.
Okay. So millions of Nigerian people have been living in ID camps. What does it say about the country that in 2026, entire family are still growing up without a real home?
There's best estimate 10 to 12 million displaced Nigerians. From my observation and from statistics, mostly Christian, but certainly not all Christian. I run a school in a camp in Abuja that is almost entirely Muslim children. So it cuts both ways. It's the apostates, the non-jihad Muslims, and it's the infidels, the Christians. No great nation can be built on a foundation of blood and injustice. The intentional denial of aid and recognition to displaced people is legally considered genocide. There have been dictators that have been successfully prosecuted for genocide by denying recognition and aid to displaced people in this context. I call for the indictment and arrest of Tinubu and his senior people for genocide. International community, I can prove that he is guilty because I can take you to the camps in the FCT that are filled with displaced people that were told to stay there, that from Ngoshe, from Goza, from Chibok and elsewhere, eyewitnesses to genocide, living in the most horrific, hellish conditions. The government calls them vagrants, it calls them beggars, it calls them criminals, anything but displaced. It occasionally goes in and bulldozes their homes and structures. They're intentionally being ground down, they're being denied because they're eyewitnesses to genocide. The aid exists in the international community. There is no IDP on earth that should go without basic necessities because the world community has the money and the mandate to do that, but they can't do it if they're denied. And so it's a crime against humanity. This government, this administration is guilty of genocide, regardless of the mass graves in the north. I can prove today that Tinubu is guilty of genocide without walking very far from the villa to do it. And I believe that they should be arrested, prosecuted, and dealt with for being genocidal regime, which is exactly what they are by legal definition.
A lot of Nigerians are still shocked that the FBI and the Department of Drugs and Administration has not released the Tinubu file as directed by a U.S. judge. What is your view on why these two agencies haven't released those files?
Very good question. And I don't know the answers. I have some speculation. First of all, the institutional resistance, as I understand it, originated really under the Obama-Biden regime. The language used in those filings was the same language they would use, the FBI, the CIA, if they were seeking to protect an active asset. Now, that doesn't mean he's an active asset, but it's the same language, and I think that's telling. The fact is, and it's indisputable, that Tinubu has been involved in heroin trafficking on a large scale. That's why he had to leave the United States in the early 90s and forfeit $460,000 to a federal court. So the CIA has a track record, and it's a bad thing. I don't think it's good, but of working with and supporting and propping up complicit drug traffickers to a lot of for numerous nefarious reasons. So I would suspect that that's what Obama was doing, was propping him up and leveraging him and working with him as a drug trafficker. I suspect that. Now, why is Trump not releasing them? First, I don't know if that's bubbled up to his desk. I don't know that it's an active thing. I don't know. But I suspect that Trump is using it as leverage, that he's got it wrapped around Tinubu's neck, that you're going to do what we say. We'll let you keep doing what you're doing, but you're going to let us do our thing. We're going to come in. We're going to knock out some targets. We're going to act like we're working together. But it's the gun at his, it's the bayonet at his back. It's the leverage. That's my working theory. And what it also means is if an alternative that's viable does emerge that Trump favors, he can use that leverage in another way and release it at the proper time to help the challenger win. Again, pure speculation. All we know is Tinubu has a past as a heroin trafficker, and that the language that was used to argue against the release by the FBI and CIA is the language used when they're trying to protect an active source. Also, it should be noted that my understanding, heroin trafficking funds 37% of global jihad, and Nigeria today is a massive heroin pipeline, and the jihad networks do benefit from that. And there's never been a top trafficker ever been arrested. It's always low-level people that are arrested. So we don't know who's running the heroin trade through Nigeria today. We don't know. I suspect I know, but we'll see.
What do you say to those who say the US is complicit? Here we have a judge made an order, and the two institutions, which is regarded as some of the most strongest institution in America, they have disobeyed a judge order. Do you think the US is complicit, as some are saying?
I think certainly elements within the U.S. government are absolutely complicit. The U.S. government is not. People in Nigeria and elsewhere need to understand it's not a monolithic thing. Not only can it switch back and forth, by administration, but there are holdovers. There's a deep state and elements within the government that have their own agenda that are very hard to get to and very hard to stop. Is there ops going on in the CIA and FBI that are counter to Trump's policy? Absolutely. Today, there's non-loyal, anti-Trump elements still running ops within those entities. Does Trump know about the release that was ordered, and has he personally, consented to it being stopped? I don't know. But somebody's doing it. And yeah, I would argue that person is likely complicit. We know that Obama was fully complicit in getting Buhari elected to begin with, and that Biden certainly helped Tinubu as well. So as long as there's a known link between the U.S. Democratic Party and the APC that's pretty nefarious. And so it could be that, or it could be Trump using it as leverage.
Okay, so what do you think Trump would want from Tinubu that would make him to say, okay, I'm not going to release this file, but this is what I want? What do you think he will want from Tinubu?
What he's getting, the illusion of cooperation and access to bomb ISIS terrorists in Nigeria. Beyond that, I don't know. I mean, is this is he being manipulated by Chaguri or Bulos? I know Boulos is deeply conflicted, and he parrots verbatim the talking points of Tinubu and the Northern Imams. And he's profiting off of no bid contracts issued by the Tinubu government. That's deeply troubling. Has that impacted the decision not to release the files? I don't know. I actually have a request to the State Department. I think I'm the first person in line to receive Boulos's disclosure statements. Their past deadline on that too. I was supposed to have those last week.
So for Nigerians who do not know who Boulos is, Michael Boulos is a Trump senior advisor on Middle East and African affairs, and his son is married to Trump's daughter, which a lot of people say they can see that there appear to be conflict of interest here. What do you think this does to the US's reputation around the world? What is happening now?
Well, it's damaging as can be. I think this guy Mossad Boulos is an embarrassment and a shame on the U.S. government, on Trump administration. Does Trump know the details of it? I don't know. But Mossad Boulos's family company provides heavy equipment, the preferred heavy equipment provider to the Chaguri Group that received at least 50 some odd percent of the Nigerian federal government budget in 2024 with no bid contracts to do jobs requiring heavy equipment. So there is no doubt, and this is all through public knowledge, that this man is benefiting enormously from this administration staying in power. And he is Trump's top advisor on how to handle this administration. That's an embarrassment. That's a conflict. That's a black mark on Trump and on the U.S. government. And unless the guy's cut loose, it's irredeemable, in my opinion. That this is very bad situation.
So just for the audience to understand, so the Chaguri contract that was awarded to Chaguri, Tinubu's son has been named as one of the directors of the company that is getting Nigerian contracts. So is Tinubu awarding the contract to himself and Chaguri? That's just for the audience to understand what we're talking about. Thank you so much, Mike. If you've seen any value in this content, don't forget to give it a like and share. If you would like to appear on this platform, you can WhatsApp us on the WhatsApp number that is showing on the screen, and we will always consider it if we feel it will help the Nigerian masses who have been oppressed.